Shalom. I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakak Radash, and double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I was left this comment underneath one of my videos from a few weeks ago, and this individual goes on to state that all Israelites are black. They left the land black, and they will come back black. And we're going to pause right there for a moment because we can assess from the very onset that Jake, you are on a very low level and you're void of the spirit, because we know according to scriptures, we have been scattered into the four corners of the earth. We have laid with the heathen women, and we have produced children that look like the foreigners. We know, according to scripture, your lineage always goes back to whom? Your father. Your father determines your nationality. Jake, that's why now, modern day, the scripture states it is the spirit that bears witness with our spirit that we are the children of Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai. You understand that? Okay, let's continue. He goes on to state, you Negroes say Ephraim is a fake not turn. I'm supposing that he meant cake not turn, or he is a speckled bird. Don't they turn light skinned? Jake, I'm going to do you a favor. I'm going to utilize one of the scriptures that you mentioned, and then we're going to go from there. Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 9. And it states this, mine heritage is unto me as a speckled bird. Now you should be asking yourself, who is the Lord's heritage? Well, Isaiah chapter 54, verse 17 gives us more insight. I have to read on down to get to a point. No weapon that is formed against thee shall prosper, and every tongue that shall rise up against thee thou shalt condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of Yahweh. Now, who are the servants? Isaiah chapter 44, verse 1 tells us clearly, yet now hear, O Jacob, my servant, and Israel, whom I have chosen. Let's grab one more. Isaiah chapter 45, verse 4. For the sake of Jacob, my servant, of Israel, my chosen. So the Lord's heritage, the Lord's servant is Jacob. Northern and southern kingdom, all 12 tribes. So when you get to Jeremiah chapter 12, verse 9, mine heritage is as a speckled bird unto me. That curse replies, or should I say applies, to the entire house of Israel. Now you see this bird here. Now let me come out of this, Jake, because did you forget about the curse of leprosy? And for the sake of sounding foolish, doesn't this man looking like unto a speckled bird here? Now let me go to that curse here, because you pro-black, black on black, blackly black Jakes, you can't dance around this here, right? Leviticus chapter 13, verse 9, and it states this, when anyone has a defiling skin disease, they must be brought to the priest. The priest is to examine them, and if there is a white swelling in the skin that has turned the hair white, and if there is raw flesh in the swelling. Let's come out of this, because is that not what we just witnessed here? Right? White skin with raw flesh. See, his skin is reddish there with white hair. This man is suffering from leprosy, what they call vitiligo today. Now let's go back and let's continue to read down, because there's a point I need to get to. Verse 11 states this, it is a chronic skin disease, and the priest shall pronounce them unclean. He is not to isolate them, because they are already unclean. Here's the point here, Jake, verse 12 and 13. If the disease breaks out all over their skin, so far as the priest can see it, it covers all the skin of the affected person from head to foot. The priest is to examine them, and if the disease has covered their whole body, Jake, he shall pronounce them clean, since it has all turned white. They are clean. So what would that look like today, Jake? That would look like your modern day albino Jakes. See this brother? He's an Israelite, even though he's lacking pigmentation to you all black Israelites, even though his skin is blonde and hair is, is blonde and or white. What about this sister here? Is she not an Israelite? Isn't she lacking pigmentation? You see how your point or your position is flawed here, right? Are these individuals Israelites? Let's come out of this, because another Jake said, oh, Israel faces shall not turn pale. Jake, if you would have kept reading in the book of Isaiah, chapter 29, verse 22 on down, you will understand that that's a future prophecy. Let me say this, and the reason our faces are growing pale now because we're still under the curses. One of those curses being fear is growing pale because of the fear and the trembling that's upon us while we're in these other nations. But let me read Isaiah chapter 29, verse 22 on down, and it states this: Therefore, this is what the Lord, whom redeemed Abraham, says to the descendants of Jacob. Who are the descendants of Jacob? The 12 tribes of Israel. Right now, specifically the elect. No longer will Jacob be ashamed. No longer will their faces grow pale, again from fear. They will see among them their children the works of my hands. They will keep my holy name, which is Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai. They will acknowledge the holiness of the Holy One of Jacob, and will stand in awe of the power of Israel. Those who are wayward in spirit will gain understanding. Those who complain will accept instructions. Now let's come out of this. Now, to substantiate my point about our faces growing pale with fear because we're still under the curses, remember what's written in Leviticus chapter 26, verse 36. And it states, For all those who are left, I will make their hearts so fearful in the land of their enemies that the sound of the wind blowing a leaf will put them to flight. Jake, you're still scary as hell today. And a lot of you grown Jakes are scary as hell. A little thing happen, you hear a bump in the night, you become fearful. That's what that's referring to. They will run as though fleeing from a sword, and they will fall, even though no one is pursuing them. That's why many of you deep, blackly woke Jakes, this is why you can't break down Revelations, the 7th chapter, and the 13th and 14th verse. When the elder asks me, who are these in white robes, right? He says, where did they come from? Look how John replied. I answered, Sir, you know. And he said, these are those who come out of the great tribulation. Remember, the Lord is only coming to gather his elect. And then guess what, Jake? The elect are going to have leprosy. The elect are going to look like the heathen nations, right? The elect are going to look like the foreigners because their lineage goes back to an Israelite man, Jake, right? It goes on to state, they have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Hey, Jake, all Israelites are not going to look like Earth, Wind, and Fire, Jake. All Israelites are not going to look like Dr. J. You understand? 1 Samuel chapter 2, verse 3 states this to you pro-black Israelites. Talk no more so exceedingly proudly. Let not arrogancy come out of your mouth. For the Lord is a power of knowledge, and by him actions are weighed. And the Lord sees your blackened hearts, man. He knows that you Negroes are immersed in your self-proclaimed blackness, and you're going to be destroyed. And you niggas are void of the spirit, all right? Many Israelites are going to look like this, okay? Let me close out with this, man. In Matthew chapter 22, verse 14, for many are called, but few are chosen. And those of us who are of the hope of the elect, yes, we're going to look like your standard Israelites, but many of us are going to look like the foreigner, the heathen nations. We're going to have Billy Ligo, so on and so forth. Hopefully this quick lesson was edifying. Shalom.